Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're exploring an incredibly common and impactful human experience, anxiety.
It really is.
And this isn't just about those with a diagnosed disorder. Our source material calls this the age of anxiety because, well, it touches all of us, doesn't it?
It certainly seems that way.
Remember that universal feeling William James Hall described? A horrible dread at the pit of my stomach, a sense of the insecurity of life. We've all felt that, right?
Oh, absolutely. That knot of worry.
Yeah, that just seems to defy reason sometimes.
That's a feeling so many can relate to. And our deep dive today, it's built around the book Overcoming Anxiety, Reassuring Ways to Break Free from Stress and Worry and Lead a Calmer Life by Gill Hasson.
Okay.
What makes this book so valuable, I think, is its dual approach. It gives a really clear understanding of what anxiety is, but then, crucially, it shifts into practical, actionable ways to manage it.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is really to pull out those powerful nuggets of knowledge and the truly actionable insights from the book. We want to give you a shortcut, sort of, to being well-informed and, maybe more importantly, well-equipped.
Yeah, equipped to approach anxiety more effectively in your own life.
Definitely. And the central, empowering message the source emphasizes is that no matter how intense your anxiety feels, you can take effective and straightforward steps every day to manage and minimize your anxiety, which is, quite hopeful.
That's really the key message, isn't it? Hope and action.
So let's unpack this core idea then, that anxiety isn't just one sort of monolithic feeling.
Right.
The book reveals it actually manifests in three distinct, interconnected ways. Through physical sensations, through our thoughts, what the source calls the cognitive aspect, and through our behavior.
Yeah.
Think about like public speaking or maybe even just a social event coming up.
Sure.
You might find all three of those showing up.
That's a critical distinction the book makes. And when we talk about the physical aspect, we're describing those internal bodily changes you experience.
Like what specifically?
Well, we're talking frequent visits to the loo, that queasy stomach feeling, maybe even nausea, a pounding heart, breathing really fast, hot flushes, stuff like that.
Okay.
What's striking here is how, universally similar these physical responses are, pretty much regardless of who you are. They're all wired into your body's ancient fight or flight response.
Right.
Flooding your system with hormones like adrenaline and cortisol.
The stress hormones.
Exactly. The source even highlights that anxiety can sometimes, fly under the radar, go undiagnosed if it mainly shows up as a persistent physical problem.
Like those stomach issues you mentioned earlier.
Precisely. Or headaches, muscle tension, things you might not immediately link to anxiety.
Interesting. And then we move to the cognitive aspect. This is where things can get, really tangled, isn't it?
It really is.
What does the book reveal about why our thoughts become such a powerful force in anxiety?
Well, it's all about the negative, distressing things you think and believe about what could or will happen.
Right.
The book introduces this incredibly powerful concept called cognitive fusion.
Cognitive fusion?
Yeah. Think of it like your thoughts are wearing a truth costume. They seem so real, so undeniable that you just stop questioning them.
Ah, yeah.
It's when a thought like, I might fail, just morphs into, I am a failure, and your whole body reacts as if it's already happened.
Wow.
That thought isn't just an idea anymore. It feels like the absolute, undeniable truth.
That makes sense. And then finally, we have the behavioral aspect.
Right. This is simply the things you do or don't do when you're anxious.
Like what kind of things?
It could be overt actions, pacing back and forth, biting your nails, maybe chain smoking or constantly chewing gum. But a particularly crucial point the source makes is about avoidance behavior.
Avoidance, okay.
This is when your anxiety leads you to not do something, like that familiar scenario of, say, not turning up for an exam because the dread just becomes too overwhelming.
Right, you just dodge it completely.
Exactly.
So when you put these three together, the physical, the cognitive, the behavioral, what emerges is this self-sustaining cycle, right? Intrinsically linked.
Absolutely. The book gives this brilliant example. Imagine you're anxious about speaking to a group.
Okay, classic example.
Your physical response might be that rapid breathing, increased pulse, stomach churning, maybe hot flushes.
Yep, feel that.
Your cognitive response, the thoughts, could be something like, oh no, I'll waffle on, I won't make myself clear, everyone will think I don't know what I'm talking about, I just don't think I can do this.
That negative self-talk loop.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And your behavioral response might then manifest as, say, biting your nails or fiddling constantly with a pen.
Okay.
And the powerful insight here, the real aha, moment the book offers is that this entire cycle can be triggered by any of the three.
Ah, so it doesn't always start with a thought.
Not necessarily. A physical symptom could spiral into negative thoughts, which then trigger anxious behaviors, which might increase the physical feelings, and, well, on and on it goes.
It really is a loop.
It is. And it's worth acknowledging, too, that understanding your own anxiety can be a real challenge.
Why is that?
Because its symptoms often develop so gradually, it's not always obvious when, everyday worry has crossed the line into a disorder.
That's a tricky line to identify. So if you're listening and wondering, is what I'm feeling just normal stress, or is it something more? The book helps clarify this by outlining some common patterns. Let's look at a few that often get confused with normal worry, starting with generalized anxiety disorder, or GA.
Okay, GA.
This isn't about worrying over one specific thing, but more a persistent kind of free-floating anxiety.
Right, not tied to anything specific necessarily.
Exactly. The book draws a sharp contrast between normal worry, which feels controllable, doesn't really disrupt your life, and GA, where worries do disrupt daily life and feel entirely uncontrollable.
And the symptoms.
Physically, you might experience things like muscle aches, dizziness, palpitations. Cognitively, there's often a tendency to always think the worst, sometimes not even knowing why you feel anxious.
That free-floating aspect again.
Yeah. And behaviorally, maybe difficulty relaxing, constantly seeking reassurance or postponing or canceling things.
Okay.
There's a quote in the source that captures it vividly. "My worrying feels uncontrollable. Whatever it is I'm worried about, no sooner is it resolved than another worry pops up."
Wow, that sounds exhausting. Then there are panic attacks.
Right. These are described as sudden, overwhelming surges of terror. Really intense.
Very intense. They come with really strong physical symptoms. A racing heart, maybe chest pains, sweating, trembling, feeling lightheaded.
Serious stuff.
Yeah, or even a terrifying sense that you might actually die. Cognitively, you're just overwhelmed by thoughts of passing out or dying.
And they can happen anytime.
They can. What's truly unsettling, the book notes, is that they can even happen at night, waking you right up from sleep.
Oh, wow. And of course, phobias. We hear about those a lot.
Yes, those unreasonable or irrational fears. The source distinguishes between specific phobias linked to particular objects or situations.
Like spiders or heights.
Exactly, the simple ones. And then complex phobias, which are often more debilitating, like agoraphobia.
Okay. The book gives an intriguing example of a specific phobia, too.
Oh, yeah.
Someone who intensely dislikes the sound or feel of metal with metal. Fears coins, even. Prefers to put change directly into a charity box.
That really shows how incredibly specific and, well, personal these fears can be.
It does.
The book also delves into social phobia or social anxiety, and it stresses this is so much more than just being shy.
Right. It's an actual fear.
A debilitating fear experienced in social situations, even seemingly simple ones like going shopping or making a phone call.
What does that look like?
The symptoms are broad. Excessive self-consciousness, a paralyzing fear of being judged. Physical reactions like blushing, shaking, sweating, even chest pain. Cognitively, there's this fear of humiliation, of being found out somehow.
Right.
And critically, the behavioral aspect, avoiding social contact altogether.
Yeah.
One person shared this in the book. It's quite powerful. The longer I've got to think about an upcoming social event, the worse it is. It spoils my week leading up to it.
Gosh, that sounds incredibly difficult. And here's one connection that might surprise many listeners. Irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS.
Ah, yes, the gut connection.
We often think of it purely physically, right? The stomach pain, cramps, bloating.
The usual suspects.
But the book really uncovers how deeply intertwined it can be with anxiety.
Yeah.
While it can be a physical condition, these symptoms can also be entirely anxiety-induced.
Exactly. It comes down to the brain-gut connection via the vagus nerve.
Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure. The vagus nerve is like this super highway connecting your brain and your gut. It's a direct communication link.
Okay.
So when anxiety triggers your brain's alarm system, those stress signals literally flood down this nerve to your gut.
And cause physical symptoms.
Very real physical symptoms like those found in IBS. It's real proof that anxiety isn't just in your head. Someone in the book put it perfectly. My physical symptoms, the stomach problems, were caused by a general anxiety disorder. I just didn't realize how anxious I'd been.
Wow.
And this leads us to such a vital point from the source, really, no matter how overwhelming these different manifestations feel.
Yeah.
The key takeaway is that anxiety is treatable. Whatever the trigger, intensity, or object of your anxiety can force changes on you, make it harder to cope, but it is treatable.
That's the crucial message.
Yeah.
Okay, this brings us to something I found particularly compelling in the material. The sheer power of our thoughts.
A huge focus.
The book shares stories of individuals, Jess, Julia, Sal, and their experiences vividly demonstrate how negative thoughts fixate on negative outcomes.
Yeah.
And they become self-perpetuating. It's this really powerful, often invisible cycle.
It really is. And what's fascinating here is how our thinking patterns essentially become these deeply ingrained habits. Yeah, almost like creating a strong, distinct path in a field of long grass. Each time you walk that way, the path gets clearer, stronger, becomes your default route.
That's a great analogy.
And our upbringing, our environment, they play a significant role in shaping these mental habits, often discouraging us from even questioning our own thoughts or perceived truths.
Right, we just accept them. That's why understanding self-talk and cognitive distortions is so vital, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Self-talk is essentially your inner voice, right?
Yeah.
That running commentary.
Exactly, like that constant text ticker at the bottom of a 24-hour news channel, but inside your head.
Yeah. It can be neutral, positive, or often with anxiety, negative. And the source makes it so clear that this self-talk isn't just mindless chatter. It actually has a way of creating its own reality.
How so?
It's like your brain is constantly narrating your life, and that narration isn't just background noise. It's actually writing the script for your reality.
Yeah.
Telling yourself you can do something can help it happen.
Right.
Telling yourself you can't do something can make that more likely to be true. And because your brain speaks with your own voice, it feels incredibly real. Undeniably true.
And when those thoughts are predominantly negative, they can easily morph into what the book calls cognitive distortions.
Okay, distortions.
These are illogical or irrational ways of thinking that feel absolutely true but are actually limiting and unhelpful. What's truly profound here is recognizing how these aren't just random bad thoughts. They're often deeply ingrained, almost default mental patterns we all fall into sometimes, shaped by our past.
So it's about recognizing the pattern itself.
Exactly. The insight isn't just what they are, but realizing their universal, almost invisible power until we actually name them.
The book gives some really spot-on examples of these distortions. Can we run through a few?
Definitely. Good idea.
Okay, there's jumping to a conclusion. Like just thinking, I just know I'll be stressed and I'll get horribly lost before a drive.
Assuming the negative outcome without evidence?
Yeah. Then there's catastrophizing, where you automatically expect disaster no matter what. Like Sal's thought, we're going to end up homeless. The kids' lives will be ruined. Just going straight to the worst possible scenario.
The absolute worst. Then there's perfectionist thinking.
The shoulds.
Exactly.
Correct.
Using words like should, must, ought to. It just piles on the stress and guilt.
And personalization.
That's believing everything is about you, or somehow your fault, or constantly comparing yourself unfavorably to others.
Right, then emotional reasoning. This one's tricky.
It is. It's when you believe that you are what you feel. So the example given is, if you feel stupid and boring, then you assume you must be stupid and boring, treating feelings as facts about yourself.
Yeah, that's a tough one to spot. And finally, victimization.
This is characterized by moaning, complaining, blaming others, feeling hard done by, deceived.
Like, it's not fair. What have we done to deserve this? That kind of thinking.
Precisely. These negative thinking patterns, these distortions, they deeply influence your explanatory style.
Explanatory style.
It's your automatic way of interpreting events, why things happen.
Okay.
And a negative explanatory style, as the book explains, reinforces something called learned helplessness.
Learned helplessness. I've heard that term.
Yeah. It's where you actually learn to believe you have no control over situations, even if you do. It leads to this kind of tunnel vision.
How so?
Where you only see evidence of what you already think and believe. It really becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You expect bad things, so you only notice the bad things, which confirms your expectation.
Wow. Okay, so what's a practical first step you can take to start interrupting this cycle? It sounds quite daunting.
It can feel that way, but the source suggests something deceptively simple yet powerful. Keeping a thought diary.
A thought diary, how does that work?
You simply write down negative thoughts as they pop up, note what triggered them, the situation, and crucially, do it without judgment. Just observe.
Like being a scientist of your own thoughts.
Kind of, yeah. Kate, one of the examples in the book, she realized through this that she often jumps to conclusions, catastrophizes, and thinks, I know what other people will be thinking.
Ah, so reveals the patterns.
Exactly. And Nick, another example, identified these recurring negative stories he told himself, like, my friends are better than me. Just seeing them written down helped him realize they were just habits, mental habits, not necessarily facts.
That seems like a really useful starting point.
It's a critical first step because once you've started identifying these patterns, the next step is to, well, activate change by confronting that negative self-talk.
Okay, so how do you confront it?
The book suggests questioning your thoughts, asking yourself things like, okay, what's the actual evidence for and against this thought?
Right, challenging it.
Exactly. Or in what way is thinking this actually helpful to me? Or what's the worst that could realistically happen? What's the best? What's the most likely outcome? Even asking, how would a more positive friend, someone I trust, see this situation? These questions are designed to create a little bit of distance.
Distance between you and the thought itself.
Precisely. So it doesn't feel so fused, so absolute.
And once you create that distance, I guess you can start the process of replacing the negative stuff with more positive self-talk.
That's the idea. But the key here, the book stresses, is that these new positive thoughts, they have to feel believable to you. You can't just jump to something unrealistic.
Right, it has to resonate.
Exactly. It goes back to that brilliant quote from Shakespeare the book uses. For there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Neither negative nor positive thinking is inherently more real, but the one you choose to believe, the one you focus on, that's the one that ultimately shapes your reality, your experience.
So you have a choice in which narrative you buy into.
Exactly. You literally begin to take control of your brain by consciously choosing the most positive but still realistic explanation for things.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Take the example of impatience. You could see it as a flaw, an inability to wait. Or with a simple reframing. You could view it as a driver. A sign that you like to move things forward and you do make things happen and get things done.
Ah, same trait, different perspective.
Precisely. Which definition is true, whichever one you choose to believe and act upon. The goal, ultimately, is to make this kind of positive, constructive self-talk a habit.
Oh.
Maybe even writing down positive thoughts, affirmations that feel true, and focusing on them regularly. Training your brain.
And the book mentions language tweaks too, right? Simple things.
Yeah, small shifts can make a difference. Instead of thinking, I'm not going to lie awake all night worrying, which focuses on the worry, you can reframe it to something like, I'm going to bed to rest and I will sleep when it comes, focusing on the desired state.
Okay.
Or replacing but with and, but often negates what came before and opens things up. Instead of, I went to the shops but I forgot the milk, try, I went to the shops and I forgot to buy the milk. I'll buy some after lunch. It just feels less like a failure, more like a sequence of events with a solution.
Subtle, but I can see how that shifts the feeling.
It does. Also, replacing those demanding shoulds with could, will, or going to gives you more choice, more flexibility, shifts from obligation to possibility.
Takes the pressure off.
Exactly. And finally, challenging those extreme words like always and never, because let's be honest, they are very rarely, if ever, actually true.
Good point. Always and never are usually exaggerations.
Usually. So this raises an important question. How does real change actually happen? Is it just flicking a switch?
I doubt it's that easy.
No, definitely not. The process isn't linear. The book describes it more as a cycle with 4 stages.
Okay, what are they?
First, you're unaware of the pattern. Then you recognize it. That's the thought diary stage. Then you take action, challenging thoughts, changing behavior. And finally, hopefully, you establish a new habit.
Unaware, recognize, action, new habit.
Right. And it's incredibly encouraging to know, the book emphasizes, that if you do slip back into old ways of thinking or behaving, which happens.
Yeah, setbacks are normal.
Totally normal. You don't just lose hope and give up. You don't necessarily fall all the way back to square one. It's more like you make progress. You might slip back a bit, but you've learned something. You can get back on track faster next time.
So it's okay if it's messy.
It's almost always messy. The goal is progress, not perfection.
And the source offers some really practical ways to actively train your brain for change and positivity, right? Little exercises.
Yes, really interesting ones. To become more accepting of change generally, you can start with tiny routine shifts in your daily life.
Like what?
Move a clock to a different wall. Take a completely different route to work or the shops. Listen to a new radio station you wouldn't normally choose.
Why does that help?
The idea is that holidays often help break habits because they disrupt our routines so much. So Simulating that kind of disruption in small, safe ways can actually help your brain become more adaptable, less rigid in its thinking.
Makes sense. Training for flexibility.
Exactly. And to specifically cultivate more positivity, there's one technique the book highlights as simple yet remarkably effective: noticing the good things.
How does that work?
Before bed, just take a moment to identify 3 good things that happened during your day, no matter how small.
3 good things.
Could be anything: a nice cup of coffee, sunshine, a friendly chat. Research actually shows that people who do this consistently even sleep better.
Wow, such a simple thing.
Isn't it? Other fascinating ideas include using positive passwords for your online accounts.
Positive passwords.
Yeah, choosing words like kindness or enjoyment or calm. The idea is it subtly prompts those positive neural pathways every single time you log in.
That's clever.
Being kind and helping others is also highlighted as really powerful.
Why is that?
Because, as the book says, kind gestures free you from focusing on yourself and enable you to reach out to someone else. Shifts your perspective outwards.
Gets you out of your own head.
Exactly. And finally, visualization.
Picturing things going well.
Yes, creating vivid, new images for yourself where you are coping, where things turn out okay, or even well. Like Jess, who visualized her drive to London being calm and successful before she even got in the car.
Pre-paving success mentally.
Sort of, yeah. Priming your brain for a positive experience.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about thoughts. Let's pivot to the mindful approach. This is a technique that's gained so much traction recently.
Very relevant.
The Force explains that mindfulness helps manage anxiety by training you to focus on the present moment,
Right now.
rather than worrying and pre-living the future.
Which is where anxiety often lives, right? In the future.
Very much so. Mindfulness is about cultivating key qualities: awareness of what's happening now, acceptance of it, acknowledgement without judgment, and that vital skill of letting go. Letting go of the struggle with the thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. And here's where it gets truly transformative, I think. The concept of beginner's mind.
Beginner's mind.
Yeah. It encourages you to deliberately put aside your past negative experiences with a situation. To consciously ask yourself, how can I begin again, make this experience different and more positive than the last time?
So not letting past failures dictate the present attempt.
Precisely. Think of Joe in the book, who decided to proactively suggest different visiting dates to his parents, changing the dynamic. Or Jess, buying a sat-nav and practicing using it for her drives. She reset her whole approach instead of just repeating the old fearful pattern.
Taking new actions based on that fresh perspective.
Yes.
And what about those situations where anxious thoughts still bubble up, even when you're trying to be mindful? They can be persistent.
They certainly can. That's where acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, comes in. It's mentioned in the source.
ACT.
ACT encourages accepting anxious thoughts and feelings without letting them control your actions. It's not about getting rid of the thoughts, but changing your relationship to them.
How does that work?
It involves clarifying your values, what's truly important to you in life, what kind of person you want to be, and then committing to taking actions aligned with those values, despite the fear or anxiety you might feel.
So acting with the fear, not waiting for it to go away.
Exactly. The source advises us to be like Wheezy, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Like that.
ACT also includes techniques for cognitive diffusion.
Diffusion. Like unfusing.
Yeah, creating distance from your thoughts. Helpful techniques mentioned include things like imagining your thoughts scrolling past on a karaoke screen or hearing them in a silly cartoon voice.
That would definitely make them less intimidating.
Right. It allows you to just observe them as, well, just thoughts passing through rather than fusing with them and letting them overwhelm you.
Okay, that makes sense. Creating space. And remember we talked earlier about how anxiety isn't just mental. That classic phrase, "it's all in your head," is just a huge misnomer, isn't it?
A massive misnomer. The book is really clear. Anxiety is not all in your head. It's experienced throughout your body as well. So managing those physical feelings is a crucial part of the puzzle. And of course, the source wisely advises, if you have persistent physical symptoms, it's always important to consult a doctor first.
Rule out other potential problems. Good point.
Definitely. Once that's done, one primary physical tool we can use is breathing techniques.
The classic advice. Does it really work?
It can, yes, because rapid, shallow breathing hyperventilation actually makes anxiety feel worse. It fuels the physical symptoms.
Okay.
So simple practices like just taking a moment to feel your breathing, maybe counting your breaths slowly, in for 4, out for 6, something like that, can help calm the nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
or even briefly holding your breath, not for long, just to notice that your body will automatically breathe again, trusting that process. Okay.
However, and this is a crucial point the book makes, if focusing on your breathing actually makes your anxiety worse, which can happen for some people.
Right, it can make you feel more panicked sometimes.
Exactly. If that happens, don't force it, accept it, acknowledge it, and try something physical instead. Move your body.
That's really helpful nuance. And speaking of physical, exercise and physical activity are obviously hugely beneficial.
Hugely. They help your body use up those excess stress hormones,
Yeah.
the adrenaline and cortisol that fuel anxiety,
Burns them off.
burns them off. And importantly, exercise releases feel-good endorphins, which naturally boost your mood.
What kind of exercise is best?
The source specifically recommends walking. It's accessible for most people. It's great for stress reduction, improves mood, helps with focus.
Just getting outside and moving?
Yeah. But really, any physical activity helps. Even things like doing some vigorous housework or putting on an exercise DVD can make a significant difference, just moving your body.
Good to know it doesn't have to be running a marathon. Not at all. And of course, your diet plays a role too in how your body feels physically.
How so?
Well, the advice here is pretty standard but important. Try to restrict greasy or fatty foods, maybe cut back on excessive alcohol or coffee, watch the high sugar stuff.
The things that can make you feel jittery or sluggish anyway.
Exactly. Instead, focus on having regular meals to keep blood sugar stable and stay well hydrated. Water is key.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these dietary changes won't magically cure anxiety on their own, obviously, but they will certainly help manage the physical symptoms and provide a more stable foundation for your overall well-being. Makes everything else a bit easier to handle.
Makes sense. Okay, now let's talk about taking control, specifically facing those pesky avoidance behaviors we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, the dodging tactic.
The source calls avoidance a crutch, doesn't it? Saying it provides temporary and inappropriate relief.
It does. It feels better in the moment to avoid the scary thing.
But it's a trick your brain plays, because ultimately, it prevents you from ever truly learning that you can cope. You never test the fear.
Exactly. You never get the chance to prove your anxious thoughts wrong. So, the key message from the book is clear. Facing your fears is the key.
Easier said than done, though.
Of course. But you don't have to do it all at once. The book suggests you can approach this with a surprisingly effective technique known as solution-focused problem solving.
Solution-focused problem solving.
Okay.
Sounds practical.
It is. It's like creating a roadmap to overcoming that specific fear or avoided situation.
A roadmap. I like that analogy. How does it work?
The book lays out 6 clear steps. First, you identify the specific problem and the worst-case scenario. Name it. What are you actually afraid will happen? Confront it.
Okay, face the fear mentally first.
Yes. Then, step 2. Identify the best-case scenario. What would success look like? Step 3 is crucial. Identify options and possible solutions. This is brainstorming time. No judgment, just get all the ideas down. Think about what's worked even slightly in the past. Maybe ask friends for ideas, though you don't have to take their advice.
Just to gather possibilities.
Exactly. And crucially, the source reminds us, don't feel that you have to find a perfect solution. Just identify what you can change, rather than aspects of the situation that are beyond your control. Focus on your actions.
That feels empowering.
It really does. As one person in the source shared, I had been so worried about my money problems, but once I had written down my options, I felt a huge sense of relief. I felt I was taking control. Just seeing possibilities can reduce the anxiety.
Right. So after brainstorming options.
Step 4 is to choose one of the options or solutions, just one to start with.
Okay.
Then, step 5, break your chosen solution down into small, manageable steps. Really small.
Like baby steps.
Tiny steps. For instance, if you're anxious about going to a party, your steps might include finding out who else will be there, maybe being honest with the friend you're going with about feeling anxious, remembering your breathing techniques or positive self-talk phrases, planning what time you'll aim to leave.
Makes it feel less overwhelming.
Totally. The key reminder here is to tell yourself when the anxiety spikes, stop, I have a plan. It grounds you.
Stop. I have a plan. I like that. And the last step.
The final step, number 6, is simply to review the outcome. Afterwards, think about what worked, what didn't, what you learned. Adjust the plan for next time if needed.
It's a learning process.
Absolutely. Beyond this structured problem solving, the book also introduces exposure or desensitization as another powerful behavioral technique.
Exposure. Sounds intense.
It can be, but it's done gradually. It involves gradually and repeatedly exposing yourself to what makes you anxious in order to gradually overcome the anxiety and fear.
So facing the fear bit by bit.
Exactly. Slowly getting used to the thing you fear in manageable doses, allowing its power over you to diminish step by gentle step. Like getting into a cold pool slowly instead of jumping right in.
Okay. And what if you're in a situation where you can't immediately act on a plan? Like you're worrying about that party that's still next week.
Good question. For those times, the source suggests distraction techniques, particularly through engaging in flow activities.
Flow.
Flow is that incredible state of being so completely absorbed in something you enjoy and find challenging that time seems to just melt away unnoticed. You're fully present in the activity.
I know that feeling. Getting lost in something.
Exactly. It's a fantastic antidote to worry. Examples given include things like yoga, tai chi, swimming, even juggling.
Juggling. Okay.
Or singing and dancing, creative interests like gardening, drawing, baking, anything that fully engages your attention.
Mm-hmm.
The source also suggests using humor, watching comedy shows or funny movies, or perhaps developing your spirituality, connecting with something larger than yourself.
Finding perspective.
Yes. And what's particularly impactful here, again, is the emphasis on connecting with other people and helping others.
Why is that so helpful?
Because it serves as a profound way to shift focus away from your own personal worries. It effectively frees you from that self-absorption that anxiety can create.
Right, looking outwards instead of inwards.
Precisely.
This raises an important question for many people listening. What about courage, confidence, and self-esteem? Anxiety so often creates this really unhelpful cycle of low confidence, low assertiveness.
It really does. They feed each other.
So how does the book suggest we start to break that cycle?
Well, the advice is quite practical. Start from a position of strength. Identify areas in your life, maybe small ones, where you already do feel competent or enjoy things. Could be a sport, a hobby, maybe caring for others or pets. Remind yourself of your existing strengths.
Build on what's already working.
Exactly, and redefine courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear. The book defines it as the ability to do what's important to you despite your anxiety and fear.
Okay, so you can be courageous and anxious at the same time.
Absolutely. This source encourages recalling past moments, however small, where you did act despite being scared, reminding yourself of that inner strength you already possess, even if it feels buried.
Tapping into past evidence.
Yes, and surprisingly simple things, like adopting more confident body language, can make a tangible difference.
Really? Like fake it till you make it.
Sort of, but maybe more like act as if. The source suggests choosing just one or two simple actions to practice consistently, like standing or sitting straight, making appropriate eye contact, not staring, maybe consciously lowering your voice pitch slightly, or speaking a little more slowly and deliberately.
Just small tweaks.
Small tweaks.
Yeah.
The fundamental idea is that small changes in how you use your body can add up to a big change in how you feel. Your physiology influences your psychology.
Interesting. Body influencing mind.
And then there's assertiveness. This is a big one for people with anxiety often.
What's the book's take on assertiveness?
It's defined simply as knowing what you do and don't want and being able to say so clearly, directly, and calmly. It's not about being aggressive. It's about respecting yourself and others.
Finding that middle ground.
Exactly. And the source points out something important. Confident people aren't fearless. They feel anxious too, but they learn to act despite their fears. Assertiveness is a skill you practice.
So how do you practice it?
Practical tips include being clear and direct in what you say, acknowledging the other person's perspective, showing you've heard them, and being prepared to negotiate and compromise where possible. But remembering that crucial boundary the book mentions, bend as far as you can, but no further. Knowing your non-negotiables.
Okay. Be flexible, but have limits.
Precisely.
Finally, we arrive at the vital topic of finding help and support from others. Connection seems key.
Absolutely vital. The simple act of talking to someone you trust can be incredibly beneficial, sharing the burden.
And the source offers this really powerful metaphor, categorizing people as radiators or drains.
I love that one.
Tell us about it.
Radiators are those positive people who spread warmth, make you feel good, are supportive. Drains, on the other hand, tend to take your energy, maybe increase your anxiety, perhaps they're dismissive or critical.
Right.
The clear advice: seek out the radiators in your life. Spend more time with people who lift you up.
Makes sense. What else helps?
Reading inspirational stories of others who have coped with similar struggles can provide a real boost, a sense of, I'm not alone and it is possible.
Finding hope in others' journeys.
Yes. And again, the book highlights how reaching out and helping other people actually frees you from focusing on yourself. It mentions the powerful example of someone finding purpose and relief through volunteering with Citizens Advice.
That outward focus again.
Exactly.
And what about when it's your family and friends trying to help you? How can they best support someone with anxiety?
This is so important. The source has some crucial advice here. First and foremost, supporters need to understand that the anxiety is real. Avoid dismissing it with well-meaning but ultimately unhelpful phrases like, oh, don't worry about it, it's nothing, or just snap out of it.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Not at all. It's also about finding a really delicate balance between being supportive and inadvertently enabling.
Enabling, what does that mean in this context?
Enabling means that often with the very best intentions, you might actually perpetuate the anxiety by constantly rescuing the person or overly accommodating their avoidance behaviors. You shield them from facing the fear.
So you prevent them from learning they can cope.
Exactly. The example given of Ellie and her mother Doreen really illustrates this. Instead of Doreen always making excuses for Ellie not to go out, they work together on small, manageable steps towards going out, supporting, not taking over.
Okay, so what are some concrete tips for supporters?
Learn a bit about anxiety disorders, ask the person how they're feeling, really listen, let them know they can talk openly. Even if they're repeating the same fears, just listening without judgment helps.
Be patient.
Be patient, be available, praise small achievements and efforts, be reliable. Knowing someone is dependably there can make a huge difference. And what's a truly profound insight here, I think, is the reminder for supporters to practice self-care too. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Right. The oxygen mask analogy.
Exactly. The book says, just as we are advised in the eventuality of an emergency on a plane to put on our oxygen mask first, you need to look after yourself so that you are more able to help someone else. It's not selfish, it's necessary.
That's vital advice for anyone supporting someone through a tough time. So, wrapping this all up, what does this deep dive mean for you, the listener?
Wow.
The central message from the source, it really resonates so clearly. Worry, anxiety, and fear control you when you assume there's only one way to respond.
That feeling of being trapped.
Exactly. But with a handful of strategies, ideas, and techniques to hand, you do have a choice and can do things to manage and very often overcome anxiety.
It's not about being fearless, is it?
No, it's about having a toolbox. Knowing you have options, strategies you can try, that in itself reduces the feeling of helplessness.
And connecting this to the bigger picture of anyone's journey with anxiety, it's so important to remember what the book stresses. Change doesn't happen all in one go. Be patient with yourself. If you manage to lessen or even overcome just one aspect or one specific anxious issue, you're doing remarkably well. Celebrate the small wins.
It's a continuous process.
A continuous process of small changes, small steps that consistently move you in the right direction. Progress, not perfection.
So as you move forward into your day or your week, maybe consider this. What tiny, manageable step can you take today or this week to apply just one of the powerful strategies we've discussed?
Just one small thing. And perhaps linking back to those thought patterns, what is one habitual negative thought or maybe one avoidance behavior that you could challenge this week, even in the smallest way imaginable, just to begin rewriting your own story of anxiety?